Good afternoon, gentlemen and ladies. And good afternoon, ladies and the gentlemen again, and my technocrat friends. So, uh, here we are just going to do some discussion. Let Mr. Nikhil to come. Yeah. Good afternoon, Mr. Nikhil.
Sorry.
We are waiting for you. Please, please join. So. So it is like, displaying conversations AI, evaluating customers' interactions, where I would like to ask you people to share your knowledge to all the, expertise. So the very first question is to you, Mr. Nikhil. So,
Because I came late.
so how can business leverage these advanced NLP techniques to enhance the understanding of users' intent and improve contextual interventions in conversational AI systems?
Okay, so first of all, thank you so much for inviting. At Tata New, we have been adopting AI in few different ways. One is we started off with the menu bot and moved to AI bot, which is our chat bot, right? We are also in the process of doing an email bot integration, which means how email can be responsive using AI to respond to the questions which people ask. And the third thing is our social media response team, okay, which uses AI. And just to share you some information, today 100% of the social media response which the team does, or whoever writes on Twitter or Facebook or Insta or whichever social media channels, 100% of the responses are done by AI. Now there is definitely a check which we have it, okay. So even after I apply check, 60% is posted as it is. So that's way we have started from zero to this. Now coming back to AI of how it basically has benefited and why it is important. So there are 3-4 areas, right? And those recognitions are very important because otherwise the effectiveness of AI, whether it is a chat or email or whichever channel you use, is not very effective. First is the intent recognition. So why a person has come on bot, what is the person's intent? That is most important. Whether it is he has come for a query, whether it is some issue, whether he needs some help, whatever it is, right? So that intent is very important. The second recognition is entity recognition. So in a super app like Tata Neu, where we have multiple categories from hotels to grocery to pharmacy to electronics, fashion, whatever, flights, it is very important to understand the entity, because when a person will come, okay, you should understand that, okay, whether his question or query is about flights or hotels or e-commerce or whatever it is, right? So that entity recognition is very important, and that basically AI helps us do it. Third, again very important, is contextual, right? Now you would have seen areas where you go and invoke bot and it starts from, okay, hi, how can I help you, and then start and ask those questions. Where AI helps us, and in general this is very helpful, is you have multiple invoking points, right? So if you invoke from a help page, your menu should be different. If you invoke from a orders page, it should be different. So it should be contextual. It cannot be one size fits all. Okay. And last but very important part is the sentiment analysis. So the sentiment recognition is very important, because as we are talking or as we are chatting, as we are communicating with the customer, okay, the sentiment is very important to understand whether the person who's on the other side, the customer in this case, is he happy, is he sad, is he not okay, all that. So that real-time sentiment analysis, okay, helps us to moderate our discussions with the customer, as well as at times send an alert to the supervisor that, okay, this is something which is happening and you have to intervene and then help the customer or help the agent better. So all these recognitions, okay, which I just mentioned, are very important from an AI perspective. Eventually what it helps is, it makes your customer experience better, it makes your parameters, which are customer satisfaction NPS, good. Okay, and that's how it has helped us in Tata Digital environment.
Great, Mr. Asopa. And I think you have described in a very elaborative manner, and I hope it's like with our, users. So this next question is with you, Mr. Rakesh. So what are some examples of cutting-edge NLP algorithms that have been particularly effective in evaluating customer interactions, and how can organizations implement them very successfully?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for inviting me on the panel, Amprik. So when we speak about NLP technologies, all of us are, so previously the chatbot or these AI algorithms were luxury. The brands used to say, mere paas hai. I have the, AI algorithm, I have the chatbot, but now you speak of anyone, even the small enterprises, everybody is having that. Now, when we speak about the technologies which are being behind these chatbots, most of the times it is either BERT or it is GPT. Now, BERT, when we speak about BERT, it's very word specific. So when BERT reads on, either left side of the word or right side of the word, and as mentioned by my previous speaker, it gives more of, sentiment analysis that this word is mentioning and what he is mentioning previous to that, after to that, it gives more of a sentiment analysis, contraction analysis, these kind of things mostly used by BERT. Then comes the GPT, general contextual, training, what we say. So in GPT, it is more about context, कि कहाँ से शुरू हुआ था, consumer ने जब conversation start किया था, what is mentioned by कि क्यों आया था, उस context में ही answer चलते जाते हैं. It doesn't read sentiments कि वो इस वक्त गुस्सा है, इस वक्त happy है, इस वक्त वो query mode में है, whatever the mode consumer is in, it doesn't matter. GPT has its set of context, it keep on responding to the context. Then BERT plus GPT, then another NLP algorithm which works, and it is being used in most of the algorithms now. Even the chat GPT use BERT plus GPT. So it helps word-wise analysis as well as general context analysis. So when you put in any query or when you put in any conversation in the bot, first it reads the word, then it reads the context, and it gives more accurate answers as compared to any individual of that.
Great, Mr. Rakesh. You given a very elaborative way the examples, and I think the audience also like the way you have given the examples. Now we are moving to the next questions. That is with Mr. Gaurav. So how can organization ensure that conversational AI systems continuously learn and evolve to provide more accurate and personalized response over the time? Is very next to what Mr. Rakesh has told.
Yeah, thanks for the question and thanks for having me here. First of all, as we embark upon this journey of AI, we have to understand the basics of data management. So whatever premises we build upon the AI, that is based on the data, and data has to be structured, and there has to be learning of trends coming out of the data. Second thing is, while we're doing the data management, there has to be iterative learning of the AI tools which we use. So on the go, the AI has to keep on learning as it speaks or converses or communicates with our customers and stakeholders. So that iterative learning is the second piece. Coming on to the third piece, there is a method called A/B testing. So whatever mechanism we put in, we should ensure that we also do some kind of A/B testing on the mechanism which we are building for AI in all our organizations. Fourth, our AI system should be adaptive of the natural language understanding. That is very important from our Indian context. That customers may come and try to speak to our AI bots through their local languages. So a sense of local language understanding has to be there. Moving forward, a personalization is very important when AI speaks to our customers, because all the customers will have their unique needs as well as their tastes will be different. So a sense of personalization has to be built in our systems. And on the other hand, there also we have to be a adaptive learning. So while and that's called dialogue adaptiveness. So when the AI is having dialogue with the customers or anybody who's using those techniques, it has to keep on learning about the choices of the customer, about the preferences, and it's learning on the go. So these are, I think, few of the techniques which we should ensure to build in when in any organization we are trying to implement AI.
Thank you, Mr. Gaurav. Now we'll move to Mr. Narang. So, Mr. Narang, next question is to you. Like, what are the key considerations what integrating conversational AI frameworks into existing systems, and how can organizations ensure scalability and flexibility in the futures?
Thank you for the question, and thanks for calling for this wonderful panel discussion. See, most important thing is when you're going for AI is we should understand what we want to achieve out of it. So the implementation within the existing setup is very, very critical from the perspective which set of customers you are addressing to. Now, you may have various categories of customers. One is where it is a mass retail. Like our previous speakers have already pointed it out that very important that AI should have NLP, it should handle chatbot, it should handle the contextual. So all those become very, very relevant. You are talking about retail. So that there is no physical interaction required. So everything is handled through AI tool. So that is how responsive is your AI tool will decide the stickiness of the customer. So ease of operation will decide the stickiness of the customer. At the same time, you have to appreciate the importance when you are talking about your HNI customers, super HNI customers, how you want to use the technology to service them. So they may not be, may not like to, even if they can use it, to use the online channels, or they can access the online channels. But end of the day, if you want to have that customer with you, there has to be a physical interaction also. So if I talk about from my field of stockbroking, if there's a customer who has a net worth of more than 1 CR, I am not going to put him completely on AI. I would like my RM to go personally service him, understand his financial requirement, then decide on which instrument he can invest on. So it is not plain vanilla. When it comes to retail, we can always interact on the AI tool where we can give them the advices, where we can give them how they can trade, they can go through the demo, they come to me, there is a voice bot is there, they can talk to the voice bot and get the answers. At the same time, if I write to email, my email bot will respond. But if it is a HNI customer, I like to personally handle them. So that you have to understand the importance of the customer and accordingly you scale it up. So if your retail, maybe you may have say 25, 30 lakh customers, you can't service them personally. But you have to talk about your super HNI, having that worth more than say 10 crores or 1 crore also. So we'd like to have a personal interactions. You will not like to put them, though you give them those tools so that they are not dependent on you, they can have that information. That is where their hyper-personalization will come into picture. Gaurav has already touched upon personalization. So you have to get into that one person personalization, that what he needs, whether he can get it upfront. So that hyper-personalization very, very critical. That is how you can scale it up in HNI segment. However, for mass segment, you can have different strategies to approach them and make it more scalable. So that's my view.
Thank you, Mr. Narang. And now let's come to the Jyoti ma'am. So how can multi-model integrations enhance user interactions with conversational AI systems, and what are some best practices for implementing the approach effectively?
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for the question and thank you for having me here. So, we all agree that AI cannot definitely be a one standalone tool sitting on one data set and, operating. That's definitely going to defeat the purpose. So I'll take a very real life example of what we do in Borosil, right? So in Borosil, I have customers purchasing from a lot of different channels. I have somebody who comes and buys from my website. I have a customer who will go to a crockery store and buy a Borosil glass set from there. And there'll also be a customer who will go to Amazon and buy, right? So the purchase experience is going to differ, so is the service experience going to be. Is that what we understand? What we are increasingly trying to do now, and that is where the multimodal or different modes of communication get integrated, what we're basically trying to do is, I want to give the similar experience to a guy who comes to the website and buys, which is way more in control because, the entire data set lies with me, vis-a-vis a guy who goes to a retailer or who buys from Amazon. So what we are trying to do is the conversational bot is obviously there. So if you're on the website, you obviously have access and you can just go to the chatbot, type in your query, there's a whole automated flow and you're taken care of. But to address a larger audience, which is our retailers, people who are our retailers, dealers, distributors, so for their queries or their issues as well as consumers who come to them, right? So it becomes very tedious to say, I bought a glass set from you, you're my local crockery guy, or maybe a mixer from you and it's not working. Please you take this, you get it repaired. So there's a whole lot of process that goes into it. So we're trying to kind of mitigate that and we tell the retailer that, we've given them QR code stickers. It's there in every retailer store. So every time a customer comes in, right? So you will very clearly tell him, listen, I can do this for you. Or there's an easier way to do it. You just scan this, you put in 2 sets of information, and you take your mixer back. Somebody will come back to you in, say, 24 hours, come to your house, get it repaired. If you need a part replacement, he'll give you a part replacement. Vis-a-vis you sitting, this mixer sitting in my shop for, say, 5 days, and then somebody coming and checking. So that, again, is a better consumer experience. And that's where the integration with different modes of communication or different methods of systems works well. Another way to also integrate multimodal is, somebody who tries to call me on my IVR. So I am not a big fan of long IVRs. I personally don't appreciate them, and I don't have it on my IVR as well. So if I don't want to wait as a customer, there's a clear deflection to say, hey, do you want to wait for a while till I can connect you with somebody? Or why don't I just switch you to WhatsApp, and then you'll be kind of be able to get the query resolved within a fraction of a second. So if the customer wants to do that, there's a button to press and say he gets moved to the WhatsApp channel, right? So these are the various ways we are trying to integrate. What we are also now trying to do is get the AI bot on Instagram, wherein you can come chat with me, get your queries resolved, come buy with me on Instagram as well. So I think that's another thing that we are trying to work upon. So the context being, we're trying to integrate our website with our Instagram and all our other offline channels as well to ensure that the customer gets a unified experience.
Thank you, madam, for sharing the wonderful way the multimodal integrations. I think it's very nicely elaborated. So now we'll come back to you, Mr. Nikhil, once again. So the question for you is, what strategic can organization employ to ensure seamless cross-platform integration for conversational AI solution for consistent user experience across different channels?
So let me understand. So this is essentially AI is there.
Yes.
Okay. But how do we basically effectively use it at cross-platform?
Cross-platform,
Okay.
yeah, exactly.
Right. Okay. So let's start with what the customer would like to see. So once we have this AI solution in place with all these things what me and my panelists have spoken about, right? Few things which are hygiene, okay, and very important for customer experience. One is, it has to have a very unique UI, okay? So irrespective of whether I am basically accessing it through a mobile phone, or I use a tablet, or I use a PWA, whatever it is, correct? It has to be unique experience. So that is one important thing, right? The second thing which actually partly Jyoti touched upon was multimodal thing. But even if, so my AI implementation should ensure that, okay, again, the first one I gave an example was the screens which was there, right? Now, if you go to the channels or the sources, right, which can be a person can come through a chat, through a phone, through an email, whatever, you should have a seamless experience on that also, correct? So it should not be basically that, okay, I am seeing the information different when I am coming on the chat, but when I am basically talking to an agent on the phone or using an IVR, okay, it is giving me a different information. So that connection also has to be there, okay? So then so UI happened, UX happened, okay, or the UI UX happened, and then this cross channel or across channels happened, right? then you come about that, okay, when the integration with the different systems are important to give again the seamless experience. What I mean by that is that my bot is connected with my OMS system, my TPS system, okay, all the other systems which I have it, or for that matter, my CRM also, right? But my IVR is not connected on it, okay? So this connection or integration with systems outside this ecosystem of AI, okay, should also be there for all channels, okay? Otherwise, what will happen is your customer experience will take a hit, okay? And finally, I touched upon the sentiment part also earlier, right? But AI, while doing this integration, while doing this cross-channel, cross-platform integration, okay, it is also important that, okay, when I basically assess that sentiment of this particular conversation is good, bad, ugly, okay, by using another platform, it should give me the same values. Okay, it should not happen that, okay, yes, when I'm on the chat, okay, this is basically considering it as a good conversation, but when I'm on phone, okay, for the same conversation, it's basically showing me a red color, okay. So this is very important while doing it. And again, I go back to the basic things, okay, implementing AI, and I think he mentioned about it, that it's become a very normal thing across, and it's a buzzword, everybody would like to do it. If they don't do it, they're out of race sort of thing. But doing it intelligently and doing it in a fashion where it directly connects to the customer experience is most important thing. And hence, when you implement this solution, make sure the testing is there, okay, and focus on testing a lot, okay. Focus on different utterances. Focus on n number of use cases which can come up, okay. That testing is very important. Otherwise, you will do a check mark of having an AI bot or AI technique used in your solutions, but it may not be that effective.
Thank you, Mr. Nikhil. It's a very deeply and very elaborative way you have described. So now the next question I am asking you to Mr. Suraj, that is, how can big data analytics can be leveraged to drive precisions in customer engagement throughout conversational AI, and what challenges might organizations encounter in a process?
Thank you for the question, Manish, and thank you everyone for participating in the event. So I would say, as one of the points that Gaurav mentioned caught my attention, and that's a very important part, which is the structure of data that you have in the organization. So I would say the challenges would mainly emerge from the database that you have. A lot of organizations may not have structured data available to implement AI. So the first step before implementing AI is to have data structures in place. For example, there would be different teams in an organization. Like Ring is a fintech platform that provides loans. So we have a customer service team, we have a field sales team, we have a field collections team. So the customer is interacting over different channels through us. It can be through a sales team on field, collections team on field, or customer service team, or he would be interacting with a chatbot or the social media team. Different data points are passed by the customer on different channels. Different decisions are made by the customer on different channels, and different choices are made by the customer on different channels. Now, what has happened on every channel stays in silos in that channel or in that particular software, and is not circulated across the organization, or is not centrally located anywhere wherein the AI system can read it and provide a solution to the customer. So unless you have the right data structures in place, so that all interactions that happen with the customer, all kind of offers that are given to the customer, or all kinds of decisions that are made in the system with respect to the customer are centrally located and which can be accessed by the AI engine, the AI implementation won't work as planned. So data structures are very important, number one. And number two, I would say, as he just mentioned about testing, the best thing for testing an AI platform would be to have a chatbot, AI-powered chatbot for internal employees. Like, for example, we have a sales team. So if there are 5,000 employees on field, these employees daily have some queries. They need help on field. They want to raise a request. There would be issues in incentives, or maybe issues with respect to the app not working on field, or the customer raising a complaint. For these things right now, these things would be handled by a team in office. It would be centrally managed team, or it would be managed by a separate support group or a manager. This can be managed by an AI-powered chatbot. Now, when we deploy a chatbot for internal employees, you get to know what things are going wrong, what kind of data structures are needed which are not in place, what things are not working, and how powerful the chatbot is, and what kind of feedback employees are giving. Because employees would give you true feedback, and they can give you very good feedback on a daily basis if you have a good feedback mechanism set with them. So I would say the best way to test a AI chatbot would be to test with your own employees. And if you have a field team, then nothing like that. Give it to the field team. They can test it better than anyone else. And once you have the testing done, you have the right information with you, then it's good to go live with the customers.
Thank you, Mr. Suraj. So the next question is to you, Mr. Narang. What role does real-time data processing play in enabling dynamic response and the personalized interactions in conversational AI systems, and how the organization use metrics-driven approach to continuously improve the performance and effectiveness of this conversational AI?
Okay, very interesting question. So it comes from actually what is the end goal? End goal is the customer satisfaction. So how you're going to achieve that? You're going to achieve that once at the time when he's interacting, he is getting all the information at the same time. So there are no, it is like first time right. So there is no way that you go back and tell them what is to be done. So the advantage of having AI is that you can integrate with all your backends. And how better your integration is, that how easily it understands and pull the right data to give the information to the client. See, there are two ways to do it in AI. One is through vectorization, other is that you get all the data at one place and through pool you give the answers. Whichever way you use, at the end of the day, the objective is whether customer is getting the right solution at the right time. So there is no hallucination, which is the biggest drawback of any GPT, conversational AI. So we have to be very, very clear what our end goal is. And therefore, the real-time data becomes very, very critical when you're integrating with the systems. And how relevant data is getting pulled and how it is getting structured and presented to the client becomes very, very critical. So the drill down, the integration in terms of the various systems and their integration to the front end is very, very critical. And this comes to the next point where you have to track it, that where the failures are happening. So when customer is interacting, they are bound to be going to be the failure. It becomes very, very important that how robust is your training system, that how your system is getting trained based on those failures, how you are having a loop back to the system, because any AI bases on how good you trained it. So end of the day, what you are looking for is that how you are getting those failure information to you, which is getting feedback to the system, and system is improving itself. So how much you can automate it. Number two, how best the failure is being given to you. So this is a process which becomes very, very critical. And final thing, obviously, I already touched upon hyper-personalization. When get into that, these two pieces very, very critical. Number one, the information provided has to be correct, has to be the updated information, it cannot be a dated information. And secondly, that you have to keep training the bot, because there will be failures, and failures has to be immediately captured and trained back.
Thank you, Mr. Narang. So the next is again to Mr. Nikhil. What ethical considerations should organizations keep in mind when deploying conversational AI for customer interactions, particularly in terms of data privacy and user consent? It's a little bit sensitive subject, I would like to say.
I think more than sensitive, it is also now a compliance thing, because
right.
the new the laws which are the e-commerce rules which are coming up, right? Data privacy laws. Keep that aside, okay, because that definitely everybody has to comply with. But in a normal scenario also, being ethical as a part of, so let's talk about the divide between the human and the AI interface, right? When a person or customer service being done by the humans, okay, on the other side, okay, there definitely will be, they can be trained on ethical things, okay, this can be done, not done, and all that stuff, right? Of course, most of the companies will do it and they will exhibit ethical behavior. I think the same thing, okay, now on the AI side, because all these responses are done, and by the way, let me share with you, when we started off our journey on doing a self-service, okay, to our customers, and as I said, we deal with multiple categories as a part of our super app. We started with normal FAQs which were basically being given the information through a bot, right? Today, as we speak, almost 75% to 80% of our queries are being done self-service, okay, by multiple AI systems, what we use it. And hence it becomes very important that as you scale up in increasing the self-service quotient, okay, of your responses or your service thing, you have to become ethical. So the systems have to become ethical, right? Let me give an example, right? So essentially what I'm saying is just like we train the humans, okay, we should also train our algorithms and AI engine so that it basically shows an ethical response, or it gives an ethical response. Now I'll give you an example, right? So if you take an example of credit card, right? So we have, let's say, a co-branded credit card with HDFC. Somebody will come on your customer service platform. Let's say it's an AI chatbot, and he'll say, okay, if I shop for X rupees, okay, I should be getting this offer. And the bot will say, okay, sir, you're not eligible, or whatever, ma'am, you're not eligible for this particular offer based on his or her credentials, on whatever it is, right? And then he'll say, no, actually my friend Jyoti, okay, she basically had it, and how could she get it and I'm not getting this offer. Now, a very simple response is, because Jyoti is, in his words, an HNI, okay, she is basically, has a salary component of X lakh rupees plus and all that stuff, and hence she is getting it, but your profile doesn't meet to this thing, right? Now this is a very bad way of explaining, and it's an unethical way of doing it, because what you are doing is, you are actually sharing the confidential information of Jyoti to this person, yes, okay, who may or may not be friend or whatever. Even if he or she is, okay, we should not be sharing. So and there are n number of examples, right, where we can, for example, people staying in the hotels, okay, taking the flights and this and that, unless it comes from the legal authorities and all that stuff, that sharing of information is there. But that component has to be trained on your AI engine in such a way that, okay, these type of things doesn't happen. And I think he spoke about the personalized and hyper-local and also hyper-personalized experience, right? And it's a very thin line, right? The more you basically go into a personalization, and rightly so we have to do it, because now the n is equal to 1, right? Which the sample size which used to be 100,000, whatever, lakh, 2 lakhs. Now n has become 1, right? So I need to see an offer which is good for Nikhil, okay? She has to see an offer which is particular for her, okay? He needs to see a different offer. So that personalization is important, because that it basically increases your conversion rate. At the same time, going too much personalization and going into the privacy and giving that information which is not appropriate or not ethical, okay, is very important. So there is a very fine balance between how far you can go, keeping in this mind, and hence those rules which are coming up. So net, what I'm trying to say is, not only the human part of being ethical, okay, the machines have to be ethical, and it is very easy and important, okay, to make sure your AI chat engine or AI engine, whichever form you use it, okay, shows ethical practices.
Yes, you rightly said, Mr. Nikhil. It's really very thoughtful, and we need to think on it. It's a questions to all the industries. So the next question is to, again, Mr. Rakesh, for you. How can conversational AI be tailored to meet the diverse need and preferences of different customer segments, especially in global market with varying culture norms?
So when you ask this question, most of my fellow panelists has already answered this question. But when you speak about, horizontal deployment of the, AI tools, so most important thing is that it has to be in line with your brand identity or the brand language. If you implement AI, which is being trained on some other organizational identities or other organizational thought process, it may not be as successful as you want it to be here. Exactly. So the implementation or the finalization has to be robust. Yeah. Means it has to be in line or engaging with your brand strategy. Secondly, the deployment has to be very, very easy. You cannot, as mentioned by Narang Sahab also, that you cannot ask one system to answer to another, or third system to answer to the first one without being a seamless integration. In that case, वो बोलते हैं ना, अर्थ का अनर्थ हो जाएगा. क्या जवाब देना था चैटबॉट ने, क्या उसने जवाब दे दिया. It will be very varied kind of thing. So the integrations, mostly by APIs, has to be very pakka.
Correct.
You know, and third thing which is very important, that as mentioned by, it has to be regular feedback. अगर उस chatbot ने कुछ गलत जवाब दिया है, if the bot has answered anything wrong, let the consumer or let the user have the authority to answer or to correct the answer which bot has given. So if you are giving that enablement, or if you are enabling consumer to give an answer to the bot, he can learn that back.
Yes.
So that these three are very important when you do an horizontal deployment on a global level. First thing, as I mentioned, it has to be robust. It has to be in line with your brand ideology, brand language. And I was speaking somewhere else, and I told that, you know, if you look at news channel, every news channel has their own identities. So if you see one news channel, I'll not name here, उसके सारे एंकर सब चिल्लाते रहते हैं, जोर जोर से बोलते हैं, हल्ला मचाते हैं. दूसरे हैं वो ओल्ड एज है मोस्टली, तो वो बहुत फीबल वॉइस में बोलते हैं, धीरे धीरे बोलते हैं सब. तो ना देयर इज an identity which entire channel is carrying. So same way, bot has to carry your brand identity. Second, integration has to be very seamless. And third, the empowerment to the user to correct the mistakes if a bot has made one has to be the key.
Thank you, Mr. Rakesh. Thank you. So now this next question is to you, Mr. Gaurav. What are some examples of successful implementation of conversational AI in different industries, and what lessons can be learned from those experiences?
Yeah, thanks for the question. Actually, we have many by now, because AI has been implemented by almost all the industries in some form or fashion. Just to name some, I think if I pick and choose the ones which come onto the mind, Amtech is a US company which has built a bot on its system named Julie. And that's a road and rail passenger company. And it assists the customers for ticketing, for planning travel, and for maybe preferential destination appointment also. So that's one of the use case. Moving to e-commerce, if I name eBay, eBay has a bot called ShopBot, and it works on natural language. And it works, the customer can go to that, and in the natural language, it can request the commodity of his or her use or preference. And
Customer language.
yeah, and the bot will suggest the best use commodity for that customer.
Okay.
Moving on to, I think, healthcare, there's a company called Boy Health. So they have put a bot which assists the customer in diagnosis also. So if the customer visits that bot, it will help the customer to understand what, based on the symptoms, what kind of disease he or she has. It will also recommend the medicines, and it can also fix appointment for the customer if the doctor advice is required. One more is this KTM Airlines is there. They have built a bot called BB, Blue Bot. So that helps in ticketing as well as the travel assistance for the customers. Mm-hmm. So I think those are, to name few, these are the good use cases of AI in various industries.
Thank you, Mr. Guru. Very interesting example you have shared.
थोड़े दिन में ना दिव्या की प्रॉब्लम भी कम हो जाएगी. This panel discussion could also be on a bot, in a conversational bot. Somebody asking questions, another one asking, giving the answers.
Yes, Mr. Rakesh, thank you. So the next question is to Mr. U. Suraj. So how can organizations measure the ROI of their conversations AI initiatives, and what benchmark of metric should they use evaluating success?
So Manish, I would say presently it's too early, because people are experimenting with AI bots. So ROI right now is secondary. The primary point is how efficient we are able to make them. But still, I would say there are two things that I would look at once AI chatbot is made live. A normal chatbot, which is not powered by GPT, presently what we have seen is around the kind of handover that gives to agent. If there are 100 customers coming on the bot, at least 40 customers end up speaking to an agent. Now, if this can be brought down by the bot, by the AI-powered chatbot from say 40 to at least 20 or 25, it means it's working. Otherwise, if the kind of handover to the agent is same, then being powered by GPT doesn't make sense. It means either our data structures are not in place or we have not made a good work with the AI chatbot. So I would say the metric to follow would be how much the chatbot, AI-powered chatbot, is able to handle customers from end to end without giving any handover to the agent. If there is a similar handover compared to the old chatbot, then it doesn't make sense shifting, because there is a cost to be incurred at our end when you shift to AI bots. Second, I would also look at what kind of assistance, how many customers are assisted by the AI-powered chatbot without being the customer coming to the customer service channels. For example, right now the customer, once he faces a problem, for example, if he's using an app, say for example he's using a financial services app, and he's facing a technical issue over there. And then once he faces a technical issue, he needs to go to the support channel, write that I'm facing an issue, or my payment has failed, my payment has bounced, or there is double payment deducted. He needs to write it and then a solution is given. Once we have an AI-powered chatbot, the most important metric would be here to see how many customers are auto-assisted before they approach us. So if there is a failure in the journey, there has to be an auto-assistance before the customer tries to look for help. It should immediately say that this is the problem, you need to wait for 10 minutes and after that you will get a solution. Or the payment double debit has happened and you will receive a credit in next 5 days. We have noted this request before even he asks for it. So this is something that AI can help, because otherwise waiting for the customer to raise an issue that's anyways happening. So implementing AI doesn't make sense. So there are two things, as I said. One is the handover to agents has to reduce, and second, assisting customers before they ask for it.
Thank you, Mr. Suraj. Very perfect, and the technical way you have shared the things. And now it's the very last questions to you, Mr. Rakesh. I can see the smiling on your face. So I'll ask you to, what is the looking ahead, what trend do you foresee in the development of conversational AI for customer interactions, and how should organizations prepare to stay in a curve in the next?
So there are two answers to it. First, in resemblance to what already Suraj has said, first we need to measure it. When you want to be ahead of the curve, first you should know that where is the curve ending. So then only you can go ahead of the curve. So as mentioned by fellow panelists that, if you are speaking about AI chatbots, first you need to understand the quantum of, experience it is generating. So it is very important. हर चीज़ में ना measure करते हैं अभी time up हो गया 30 minutes measured. It took me 2 hours to reach here, measured. आप हनुमान चालीसा पढ़ोगे तो जुग सहस्त्र जोजन पर भानु. Again, distance to sun is measured. So everything has to be measured. So when you speak about AI chatbots, if you want organizations to stay ahead of the curve, first they have to, when we speak about customer experience, we have matrices like CSAT, NPS, all those things. When you speak about AI chatbots, first these matrices need to be developed where you can quantify the impact of chatbots. Then when you want to go ahead of the curve, again, as I mentioned, that it has to be very, very relevant to your brand identity, what you want your consumer to be answered, rather than what bot says. So these are some of the things. First, you need to quantify, develop matrices, which matrices could be relevant to output of these bots or machine learning processes, and then we can stay ahead of the curve.
Thank you, Mr. Rakesh. And thank you all my panelist friends. And thank you audience for listening us very patiently. Thank you everyone. Thanks.
In a post-lunch session.
Yeah,
Listening patiently in a post-lunch
that was
session.
really, a very appreciated way.
Can we have a huge round of applause for our moderator and our speakers? Such an insightful session. Thank you so much. Moving forward, I would like to call Mr. Uday Bosle, the Head Customer Care from Hamilton Houseware Private Limited, to felicitate our moderator and our speaker. Can we have you on the stage, sir, please? Sir. Mr. Nikhil Arora. Mr. Nikhil Asopa, the Head of Customer Service from Tata Digital. Can we have a round of applause for gentlemen? Mr. Suraj Shetty, the Head of Customer Experience, Learning and Development from Ring. Ms. Jyoti Arora, the Head of Customer Experience from Borosil. Mr. Gaurav Sharma, the Vice President and Head of Branch Operations from Bajaj Allianz General Insurance. Mr. Dharmendra Narang, the Chief Customer Experience Officer from IIFL. Last but not the least, Mr. Manish, the Chief Information Officer from Simpolo Tiles and Bathware, our exceptional moderator. Can we have a big round of applause for our moderator and for our speakers? Can we have a group picture, please? Please, sir.
Wow.
Hi, Jyoti. Hello, everyone. My name is Namrata Bhatt, and am I not loud enough? Okay. Okay, my name is Namrata Bhatt. I am from IDFC First Bank, where the tagline itself states, always you first. So for us, we've been taught and it's been imbibed that customer experience is typically the customer wow, and it is an interaction of all the experiences that he has across the touch points, each and every touch point of the bank, not just one key wo branch, because we are handling a set of rural customers. I'm into rural banking. So for us, it is that customer agar branch mein jata hai aur ek experience leta hai, so it has to be the same across the ATMs that he's going, or across the IVR, that is the banker on call that he's calling. So it is a wow experience, and it is a sum of all the interactions there. So Jyoti, one thing you said was that when in Borosil, a customer is contacting you on your IVR, and if he's not able to get through you, the executive, basically. So what you tell him is, the message goes that if you want to wait, you can continue. Otherwise, you can contact us on our WhatsApp. That was a very catchy thing for us, because we all know that when we contact a bank or a call center for anything, the wait time is long, and we keep listening to a lot of music for hours together. So just wanted to know how effective it is, and what is the actual percentage of customers who actually go down to contact the Borosil company through WhatsApp. That is what I wanted to know, how effective that thing is.
Right. So you're right, IVR, as I mentioned while I was speaking, I'm not a big fan of lengthy IVRs because it kind of irritates the customer more. So what we really request them is, so our wait times typically are very shorter because it's kind of managed in that way. But while he is even starting the IVR journey, right, that's where we tell him that, would you want to continue on the call, or do you want to go back to WhatsApp and then maybe kind of get this resolved faster or quicker? So we started this very, very recently. It's like really nascent. So I do not have exact numbers for you. But what I've seen typically in the last couple of months is at least, say, about 5 to 7% people now, because it's kind of just started, right? And sometimes people also don't understand very quickly what are you really trying to comprehend here. So that is a fairly decent number, I would say, for a couple of months. But I'm definitely expecting this to become a little more better and grow big, because WhatsApp is something we Indians really love, right? I mean, we really don't want to talk. The Gen Z definitely does not want to talk. So I think this deflection is going to help us reduce our contact center volumes and get this automation working better. Have I answered your question?